Live. Okay, so the last three streams have been on doing test-driven development. We've been building a contact list. This one, we're going to take what we've built, style it up, and add any features that need to be added in order to make this thing a complete app. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to push this to GitHub so that you can all have the code. A couple things. One, as usual, I will be answering everybody's questions at the end of the stream. So if you are asking any questions, just go ahead and wait till the very end of the stream, and I will be sure to answer all of the questions in the chat. Another thing is I will be using one of these three color palette generators to choose the color palette for the app. And the final thing is go ahead and follow me on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, all PortExe. You can probably see it up here in the top right corner of the screen. Those are the three things I wanted to talk about before I get started. Gonna go ahead and begin. So I've got three different websites here that all help you pick color palettes, and sometimes I just have a hard time picking a color palette, so I'm just gonna see which one is the best for me, and then by the end of the next couple minutes, I'll probably know which one I'm gonna use from now on. I like this one because it kind of generates it completely randomly, and you just press the space bar, and you kind of keep going until you find one that you like. But the problem that I've found with this is that it can take a while. So then there's this one. You can see a bunch at once. It might be faster to find what you're looking for. So that's cool. And I've never used this one before. I think this is just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. So you can, I guess, click explore and go through. I kind of like this. Let's look at this one. I kind of like this, but there needs to be some light colors too, right? I guess what I'm going to have to do is pick one that has, like red for red buttons, blue for blue buttons, etc. But I just, maybe I can take this one and then go to Peloton. So here's what we're going to do. Peloton, I think that's what it's called. Peloton, yeah. So what I'm going to do is take this deep royal blue here, copy that over to here, paste that hex value in, and then I'm going to choose to kind of customize it from here, I think. Peloton offers the ability to kind of like, I don't know, like have accent colors and that sort of thing. But I'm not getting any reds. So I need a red for cancel buttons and stuff like that. I don't really want to use this. So I think I can just drag this over like that. But that's a little bit more, I guess that looks okay. But I don't like this green at all. Like literally, I can't stand it. Oof. All right, here's what I'm going to do. We're just going to pick a random color palette. I kind of want to do this one, but this is why I don't like designing my own apps, because I can never decide on the colors. But let's... this one looks okay, kind of. It looks okay. I don't know. I'm going to go with this one. Wait, no. How do I open this? There we go. I'm going to go with this one. I like this as the background color. So let's look at what we have so far. So this is what it looks like so far. Pretty awesome, right? Let's actually go in and start styling this. So I think the background of the entire app, which we can edit in here, and the index.css file, I can add a background color and set it equal to that. And it's going to be more of like a creamy white than am I even seeing a difference? Oh, I think I am, yeah. Yeah, I see a difference. When I contrast it with the Google Chrome's console, I can see that it's different now, so that's good. So I'm going to get rid of that and this and just kind of stick with this color palette. So this looks like it could be pretty good for the primary buttons. So if we look here, we can see that there's an edit and a delete button and an add contact button. But then if I click add contact button, there's a submit button and a cancel button. I'm going to start with the form, and I think, or maybe I shouldn't start with the form. Let's start here. The add contact button could probably take this blue color. The delete button could take this orangish color. I might be able to get a darker variation of it or something like that. And then the delete button needs to be red. Or did I just say that? I'm just thinking. So the edit can be green, delete can be red, and add contact can be blue. How's that? Let's do that. So let's start with the add contact button, which is inside of the app component. And if we look, it has a class name. No, it does not. Let's give it a class name. Styles.addContactBTN. So add contact BTN. Let's give it a background color. Whoops. Of that. And then a color of white. And then a cursor of pointer. Okay, so we also need to get rid of the border, or is it the outline? Let's see, border, none. Let's do both. Depending on how browsers handle it, I might want to make sure that I handle both cases. Okay, that looks okay. Let me give it more padding. And probably I should just have both on the screen at the same time when I'm styling. That seems to be the way to go. I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, so the padding, let's go with like 5 pixels. That looks okay. Let's do a border radius of 5 pixels again, and it kind of makes it a little bit more round. But I think the width we could increase to probably 75 pixels, and that would, oh, that's decreasing it. So let's say 150 pixels. That looks okay. Then we can do let's just leave it like that for now and see how it comes together with the rest of the layout. All right, so that's the add contact button. Now, here we have a actual contact. Let's add one more contact really quick so that we can start styling the list, because the list contains the edit and the delete button. So let's do Joe, phone number, joe@gmail.com, submit. So now I have 2, and so I can go ahead and style up my contact list. Whoops. Okay, so in the contact list, we have a couple of things we want to style. First, we're going to start with the main. So the main is the container for all of our list items, which we can do, I don't know, display grid. And, whoops. We can do like grid, template columns, repeat, and how many columns are we going to have? We're going to have name, phone number, email, edit, and delete. So 5 columns. And we can make them all even. Let's say 150 pixels. Okay, so as it turns out, let me think about this for a second. So we have, inside of this, we have a series of divs. Each div is a row. So grid, template rows, by the way, let's do 100 pixels each. I don't know. But what's interesting to me is that these are on the same these are columns. And I think I wasn't expecting it to look like that. So let's have a look. Ah, no, I see exactly what's going on. So we're going to have to do it a little bit different like this, I think. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit. I was really zoomed in. I think I can do, I can select the first one and make that, how's this going to work out? First of all, 150 pixels is a bit much, right? Let's do grid, what is it, spacing? Gap. Is this obsolete? Avoid using it. So just use the gap property. So just gap. Gap can be 10 pixels. And let's do each of these, thinking here, thinking. See how, oops. You see how squished up this is? I'm not digging that. It's very, Here's what we're gonna have to do. CSS grid, each column different width. I'm pretty new to using CSS grid, so that's why I'm kind of, okay. So you can individually do this. This is what I'm looking for. So let's do, what is it? Fractional unit. Is that right? One fraction. So we'll do 1 fraction, 2 fraction, 2 fraction, 1 fraction, 1 fraction. Okay, so the second one might need 3. Why? This is just not how I thought it worked. So I could just go with how I'm comfortable with it and do, wait, why is both of these being used? And just use Flexbox. I might have to just because I'm not quite comfortable using this right now and I'm wasting way too much time figuring this out. So I'm just going to hop right into using Flexbox. So here's what we'll do. We'll start with the main div and we're going to say display flex direction column. No, not color. I hate that it does that. And then in here, each main div, we're going to do display flex. Why does that keep happening? Awesome. So now it appears to not have refreshed. There we go. Okay. So now we can target each one individually and kind of make each one its own width. So class name, class name, phone, class name, email. Let's do edit and delete. And I think I'm going to give each of these a class name as well, instead of targeting like I'm targeting it currently. So let's say class name row. So we'll target it like that. Now let's target the name, set the width to what is it at now? It's at 27. So I think 50 pixels would be okay. Phone is always going to be the same width. So what is it now? It's at 99. It could use a little more. So let's say width 125 pixels. Not 135, 125 pixels. Okay. We're going to do the same with the email. Okay. And then we want to do edit and delete. So edit. We could probably do 50 pixels for each of those. There we go. I'm gonna bump that up to 150. All right. So now they each have their own kind of div with their own class name. So I'm thinking if I target each of these and give some padding, let's say 5 pixels, but let's also give a box shadow of 0 pixels, 3 pixels gray. I'll probably replace it with an actual, like a color that fits the palette shortly. Let's do a margin of 5 pixels. Let's see, might bring that up a little bit. That looks okay. Let's do, yeah, let's leave it there. Now, I'm gonna go down to 1 pixels for the box shadow, or maybe 2. Let's do 2. That looks better. All right. Now each of the items needs to be display flex so that we can align items center and justify content center. So now everything is centered inside of these. It's looking better. The edit and the delete should have a cursor or pointer. There we go. So now we have this color palette. Let's get the delete button to be this color and the edit button to be this color. So I'm going to do this. And the actual color will be white for both of these. And so the delete can be this color. And then I'll figure out the background color of the other stuff soon. This palette really only gives me a few colors. It's kind of a shame. But I might be able to get variations of these or something like that. I don't know. Sweet. So I'll come back to that shortly. Now the add contact button, I want it to be on the right side. So this is actually kind of like hard-coded, right? I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So the actual width of the entire row is 730. Is that right? No, it's not. But it won't tell me because... I'll have to figure that out manually using math, which I don't want to do, but I'm going to do it. It would have been way easier, by the way, to use grid, but for some reason I had an issue with grid towards the beginning of this stream. Okay. So here we have two widths that are 150, so that's going to be 300 plus 50 for the name plus 100 for the edit and delete. And then we have 5 pixels of margin between each. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So in total, it should be 500 pixels wide, which means that we could probably take this container here and say that the width is 500 pixels. That seemed to have shrunk it up a little, and it might have something to do with the box sizing. It didn't. So I probably just had my math wrong, to be perfectly honest. But let's just let's bring that up a notch. Okay. Now I think that's fine for now. So I'm going to come back to these tiles and make those a better color, but for now let's work on the form. So inside of the form, which we call contact modal, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to actually have to break this modal out of the container that contains it currently so that it can cover up this whole screen with a backdrop. So we're going to have to create a backdrop. We're going to turn this into an actual modal, basically. So let's do it. So we're going to end up having a backdrop. The backdrop is going to have a z index of, let's say, 9, while the main has a z index of, let's go with 99. And the backdrop is going to have a couple of things here. We're going to have display, position fixed. Set the top to 0 pixels, the left to 0 pixels, and let's do width 100 view width, and the height to be 100 view height. Background color, we're going to make it like a black, but we're going to use RGBA to make it slightly opaque. So let's say 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 0.25, or maybe 0.5. So we need to actually add this backdrop to the modal, and I'm going to add it outside of the main. So I'm going to cut all of this, add in a React fragment here, and then I'm going to paste that back in, and below this I'm going to add a div with a class name of backdrop, which will contain absolutely nothing. It's just there to be kind of like this, exactly. It's just there to kind of gray out the background, while the form itself has a, well, the form is supposed to have a higher z index value, so it seems like that didn't happen because, look, the form is underneath the backdrop, which is not what we want. So let's figure out what's causing that. So we have the backdrop here. So somehow the backdrop is inside of main. That doesn't seem right. I'll zoom in a little bit. You probably can't see what I'm looking at here. Oh, I see what's going on. So this right here, where's the CSS? It's hard to fit everything on the screen. I'm going to have to go back to full screen. Has a z index of 99. Place form inside the backdrop. No, we don't want the form inside the backdrop. We definitely don't want that. Let me think about this for a second. Yeah, it's definitely not the numerical value for the z index. What is the issue? So I think no, that is not what I wanted. Okay, that's not it. I don't know. At this point, I'm kind of just trying to it must be, can you not add a z index to display block elements? I think that might be it. I mean, not display block, position relative. There we go. Okay, that's what it was. Okay, so we need to go back into here and add the position relative attribute. Okay, so that should, yes, there we go. So now it's above the z index. It's above the backdrop, but I want it to be centered. So here's what I will do. I think that we're going to do the form itself is going to be, so we're going to do display flex for the container, and then justify content center along with align items center So the form should now be centered. Not quite. I think the reason why is because main itself needs to have a height of 100 view height as well. There we go. So now that's centered, although... oh, I see why that's happening. So we don't want that, as it turns out. We wanted to align self, if we can do that. I don't think we can, though, because we're not inside of a flex container. So here's what I'll do instead. I will have to make this position absolute. No. Although that does push it down. Yeah, we're going to have to do position absolute. And then I can center it using manual CSS, but I don't like where this is going, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not super into where that's going. So I'm going to actually do this a little different. So the container that contains the modal is being handled within the higher order app component. So let's look. So we have contact list, but we also have contact modal. Both of these need to be taken out entirely of this main here. Put a fragment around this. And then I'm going to have a div here at the top that contains both of those with a class name of modal. Okay, so now things are going to break a little bit. Yeah, so the container for the modal needs to be position absolute. Why is my code editor hating me today? What is going on? Okay, so position absolute, that's good. Height, 100 view height. Width, 100 view width. Display flex. Justify content center. Align items center. Okay. Now, and we should do position fixed, by the way, just in case we scroll down or something like that. So inside of the modal, if I go back to wherever that is, position relative, justify content center, that should not be necessary anymore. Okay, perfect. I need to make the backdrop a little bit darker, so let's do 8. And I can start making, like, I need to give a background to the form itself. So let's start styling up the form. Whoops. Okay. So dot main form, padding 25 pixels. And let's add a background color. Background, oh my gosh. Color. Let's go here. You know, this is a good question. I guess I could start with this. I don't think that that's going to look really all that great. This color palette I chose it's not very like there isn't much going on. Border radius sort of like 8 pixels maybe. Sure. Box shadow, just to give it a little depth. Box shadow 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 3 pixels gray. Give it some depth. Although I think I'm going to choose black for this case. You can barely see it, but that's fine. Now let's start styling up the inputs. All right, let's do I can take the same styles for these no, because those aren't even inputs. That doesn't make sense. Let's do a padding of 5 pixels. I'm going to do outline, none, border, none, border radius, 5 pixels, and then a box shadow of this. Then we need a margin bottom of 10 pixels. Sure. I think I want to add more to the padding. Let's do 10 pixels. It's a little much. 7. Good. Now I'm going to add classes to the individual buttons here. So where are we? Contact modal. Okay. So here's the submit button. And here's the cancel button. So we can follow the same sort of pattern. I think we should wrap the buttons inside of a div together that we are going to give a class of actions. We'll say actions is the parent class. And let's start by going and styling and targeting actions to have a width of 100%. Then actions button can do, let's say width of 50% with a margin of 10 pixels. Okay, that didn't work. Right. So I could do, instead of doing that, we're going to do a flex box. So display flex. And then the actions margin 10 pixels. I think, wait, why did I do that? There we go. Okay. And then we can do flex basis. Whoops. 50%? Is that how that works? There we go. Although I don't want the margin to exist on over here on the left and the right. So I can basically just get rid of this and then target each one individually, like submit can have a margin right of 5 pixels. And then edit. Whoops. Not edit, cancel can have a margin left of 5 pixels. That's a little better. Okay, so each of these buttons will have a padding of Gap would do. Does Gap work with Flexbox? So someone in the chat mentioned that, so Blessed said that Gap will do. I didn't know you could use Gap with Flexbox. Can you? Let me hover over this. Does it say? I don't know. I think it only works with Grid. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll try it. So let's comment this stuff out. See what it looks like without it. And then let's do Gap 10 pixels. Okay, I don't think that works with Flexbox. Sorry. Maybe column gap? I don't think that this is going to work with Flexbox. I'm sorry. I think that only works with CSS Grid. Okay, so let's do a padding of 5 pixels. Yeah, and let's get those colors. So this will be the cancel button. Do it on actions. Okay, I'll do that. I'll give that a shot. So 1 second. Okay, so Blessed said to do the gap on actions. Gonna try that. So nothing there, and then if I go here, I can do gap 10 pixels. Okay, that works. That's a way better way to do it. So I'm gonna stick with that. Then the submit button can be this blue color. And both will get a color of white. And we need to get rid of that outline and border. Again, I think buttons only use the border property. So if I get rid of that, like it doesn't come back. But that could be on a browser by browser basis. So I'm not 100% sure on that. Five pixels. I kind of want to do it the same as the inputs. Whatever the inputs had. I think it was padding 7 pixels, border radius 5. That's exactly right. Alrighty. And then just add the cursor pointer. Now here's the deal, right? So right now the submit button is disabled. So I want to do separate styling for the submit disabled state. So the background color could be like gray. Then actually let's just do it. Is it just me or is dark gray lighter than gray? I think so. So if I do color gray and background color dark gray, then I think the color of the text is going to be darker than the background, which makes no sense. And then the cursor will do not allowed. So now we get this little cool thing. Okay, cool. All right. That looks good. I think that we could potentially have a H1 at the top, or let's not do H1, let's do H3 or H2. Let's say contact info. Whoops. Can we put an H3 in a form? H2, I mean. I don't like it, but yeah, it works. All right, so where are we at? Here we go. Dot main form, H2. Font size, let's bring that font size down to 18. Maybe that might be a little small. That's plenty, that's fine. The margin top is a little much. Let's do 0 pixels. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So I can't click this all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on there. So something must be on top of it. Let's see what it might be. The modal is still there. Oh, I know. Actually, why is the modal there? And I'm curious if my tests will now fail. So I'm going to actually do a quick test on that and see if my tests fail now. Right? So the whole thing was like, this was supposed to be a test-driven development thing. And since I just broke it, I wonder if my tests will fail. None of them failed. That's kind of funny. So somewhere I probably missed a test, but let's see why it's happening. App.js, and the reason why, I think it's because that's why. Okay. That makes sense. So yeah, we got to get rid of this div on the outside, and it needs to encapsulate each of these individually instead of both. Not on the outside. I'm sorry. Wrong on that. It needs to be here. There we go. So, and then the second one we need to do the same for the second one. Where does that end? Oh, it accidentally added a closing tag automatically. All right. So that... Oh, I'm not running it anymore. So that should fix that little bug. I do wish the tests would have caught that, though. That would have been awesome. Okay, so now I can click that again. And it stays there. Good. Very good. Okay, so really not liking the background color situation here. I kind of want to go in manually and just see if I can play with the colors until I find something that I like. So background color. Let's start with a gray, and then I'm gonna kind of just play with it until it looks good. I wonder if we can kind of, oops. They're also dark. You know what I mean? Like, the colors that I'm getting here, they're also dark. I wish I could just... There is a way to change that. I don't know if that's going to look good. I don't think that's going to look good. Yeah, that's definitely not going to look good. I guess I could go with something close to this. Maybe. Not really a fan of styling things, to be honest. But as I promised, I will do it in this video. So we're trying to target these three here. So this is going to be in the contact list, which is... That CSS file is not up right now. We need to bring that up. Okay, so we have name, phone, and email. Ooh. What? There we go. What happened here? Is that right? Okay, so first of all, that looks terrible. Yeah. Okay, maybe we'll just go with this. Sure. That is not really the best styling, but it works. All right, so the button here, the add contact button, we need to get rid of the border radius. It does not match anything else. Or I could add it, but it needs to have a very small amount, so maybe 2 pixels. Yeah, 1 pixel. All right. Barely noticeable, but it's not quite as sharp. Okay, so here's where we're going to have to start changing some things, right? So I don't like that this add contact button is just in the top left corner. Obviously, that's not very good. This needs to be kind of, I think, right aligned is the way to go. And the entirety of the contact list and the whole application should be centered at least horizontally with a little bit of padding or margin to the top so that it's not choked up in the top. And then I need to add some sort of header that says what this thing is. And then I think that the modal is okay. I think this is fine. And then there's one other thing, which is when I click delete, we need some sort of confirmation to pop up. So that's actually going to be a functionality thing that may or may not cause the tests to pass or tests to fail. So that's actually something I need to think about. But yeah, we'll start with let's start with getting this contact button, add contact button, aligned to the right here. So I'm going to full screen my code, and let's have a look at how this is arranged. So the add contact button is a child of main, and so is contact list. So these are both children of main. So I'm going to actually do, here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to give, think about this. Let's give the button a parent, and I'll follow the same naming convention of actions in case we want to add another button in the future. Actions will have a display of flex and a width of 100%. Main will have a display of flex, a flex direction of column, and a align items of center. On actions, we're going to do a justify content of flex end. Let's see what we have thus far. Okay. So we need to, hold on. I also need to, there's a couple more things I got to do to get this to look right. So the first thing here is notice that the main has a width of 100%. So that's not ideal. Instead, I want the main to be the exact width of this. Now, this purple thing at the end, which I can't really point at, but if you look at the row, you see that purple thing at the end. That is the remaining length of the row from the end of the content itself to the edge of the container. Essentially, we want to get rid of that. So in the main, I was hard coding the width to be 650 pixels, which first of all, we want to get rid of that. All right. The width is 550 pixels. And we need to, I think each of these has a margin of 5 pixels, right? Each row has, or not each row, but each item inside of the row has a margin of, or yeah, I think it's 5 pixels. So what that means is the actions container needs to have a padding that's equivalent to that. So the width, the actions, the padding needs to be 5 pixels. Okay, it needs to be 10 pixels, I think. Okay, I'm not getting this correct. Oh. Yeah, so it was 5. I was right. All right, that lines up pretty much perfectly. But the add contact button would look better if it was the exact width of these right here, which I know to be, I think these are each 50. No, these are each 60. Where are we? So contact list here. These are both 150, but they each have 5 margins, 5 pixels of margin, 5 margins. That's nice. So let's do a width. Oh, actually, I already have a selector for that called Add Contact Button. The width is 150 pixels, but what we really want is 120 pixels. Right? No. It was 130. Now, the only other thing remaining is to copy this padding, whatever the padding is here. So 5 pixels is the padding here. That doesn't seem right, but what is the padding here? It's also 5 pixels, right? I want the height of these to be the same. And the height is 31.5 pixels. Guess I could just copy the height. That looks a lot better. All right. Now in the app component, we're gonna go over to here and add a H1 above everything that just says contact list. Before I do this, I'm going to comment that out. Just remember that I'm going to add that. And I'm actually going to... What is the outermost container? It's right here. It's this main right here. So there's the root, and that is really like the main thing. So if we go to the public folder and look in the index.html, we know that we have this div with an ID of root that the entire application gets injected into via React. We can target that in the index.css file with a hashtag root. I'm actually going to set this to be display flex with a flex direction of column and a align items of center. So that actually centers it horizontally. Now, if I go back to here and uncomment my H1, I don't really want... I think I'm going to get a Google font. Let's go to Google Fonts. Yeah. And I'm specifically going to look at the display fonts. Let's find one that seems like it works for a contact list. Just something kind of basic. It doesn't have to be all that great. And kind of fits the color theme. Almost something... Whoa. So I can change the preview text that we're looking at to say contact list so that I can see exactly what it'll look like. I think this looks really good. Or this. But maybe not for a header. I don't know. I'm just going to go with this. Select this style. So I'm going to go with the CSS import style here. And that was in the app component. So I need the CSS file for the app component, which is here. Go to the top and I can put in my import. And then I just need to use that font family for the H1. So .main H1, boom. So, okay, that looks all right, I guess. And then a main font for the rest of the application can use instead of a display font, let's do a sans serif, Roboto. I like Roboto. To me, it's a really nice looking font. Let's go with light. So since the rest of the app is going to use it, I'll probably do this in the index.css file. And then in the body, I'll specify the font family to be Roboto. So I'll just get rid of this huge thing here, save it. That looks okay. Sure, yeah, let's go with that. Now, yeah, that actually doesn't look too bad, does it? I think the only thing I want to do now is, actually, I think that's fine, but let's go get a picture from Pexels. So I want to add a background image. What am I thinking here? So judging by the colors here, I'm feeling, I don't know. Let's see what I can find. Whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't mean to click on anything. Oh, that's kind of weird. That's extremely smooth. Is that a GIF or like a WebP file or something? So I think what I'll do is try to find something that matches these colors of blue, green, and peach. Honestly, this is relatively close. It doesn't make any sense though. Like the colors in this would be pretty good for the background, but it just doesn't make any sense for a contact list. So I'm thinking I type in contact or something. Let's see what I can find that has somewhat similar colors. Yeah, I mean, that's not the type of contact I was thinking of. Although it would be kind of funny to use something like this. I don't know. It would be weird though. Let's do it. I don't even care. I'm going to do it. So I need to... Actually, let me... Is it just going to go straight there? I want to save it to the correct folder. I hate that it does that. All right. Let's put this in the public folder. And in the... This is so dumb. Why am I doing it like this? It's so... Like, this isn't the best picture for it. It's just... I thought it was funny. Whatever. It's too late to turn back. Actually, it's not, but I'm just going to keep rolling with it. So instead of background color, I can get rid of that. Let's do background, no, image, URL. And it's in our public folder, so we can do that. And I'm going to rename this to BG. Let's see, bg.jpg. That should work, maybe? No? Whoa. Cannot resolve that. So I think... I'm going to go to my GitHub, by the way. I need a reference to something. Let me see. There it is. Okay, so if I look at the CSS... Okay, so first of all, there is no .. in this. So I shouldn't do that. Instead, we'll do BG without a .. And then I have the background size cover, background repeat, no repeat, and the background position center. Okay, that still didn't work. So it's actually looking in the source folder for it. instead of the public folder. So I could probably just drag this into here and maybe that would be the solution. Still can't find it. Okay. That's interesting. I've never really actually tried adding a background image in CSS in React from here. I would have thought that it would be looking in the public folder, right? If we look in here, okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna change React app to contact list, and I'm gonna add a script in here. This isn't the way to do it. Not script, I'm sorry. Style. And then I'm gonna move this background back to the public folder. Yes. And then I'm going to target the body. This is gonna get overwritten, huh? Let's figure out the correct way to do this. No. I could use public URL. What's really interesting is that this isn't working. So if let me look one more time. What is the error? I would have thought that since the background is in the public folder, and this is an error at the level of the post CSS loader. Can't resolve bg.jpg in, and it's looking in the source folder. And then I moved it to the source folder and it didn't work there either. Okay. Back to the way I was doing it. Let's just target it from here. Okay, so that worked. But I need to add these styles here as well. In fact, I'd probably need to, I'm just gonna, I don't know. Are these not getting used? I think that is getting overwritten maybe, or no, it's not. This is more confusing than I was hoping it would be, everyone. Yeah, so, okay, so the problem is not what I thought it was. So we're gonna bring all of these back to the CSS file. So that's fine. So I got this to work, that's fine. So for some reason you can't reference the background image from within here, even though I would have thought you would have been able to, but you can't. So that's that. And I think that's being imported here. Yeah, I really would have thought that that was the case. That's something I actually learned today. That's new to me. So the only thing really left is to try to get this this part of the background image to be more centered, and then I'm going to add some sort of background to this so that there's a better contrast between the actual content and the background. And yeah, if you want to, feel free to choose a better image that is totally fair. I just chose this image because I thought it was kind of funny, I guess. I don't know. But I'm going to try to do this. So let's look. Background size cover. Well, you would think that 100% would be the same as cover, right? It's not. Wow, that's crazy looking. We don't want that. Background position, center, center. The actual image, I'm assuming this is like X, Y, but let's look at the actual image. The actual image, this is basically in the center, right? So I would have suspected it would be more in the center, but it's not. So I'm going to start playing with the values a little bit until I get it where I want it to be. Where did it go? It's right here. All right, so instead of doing center, center, center is fine horizontally, but vertically we're going to probably need to play with this value a little bit. What happens if I do 0%? 0% is like, oof. Yeah, I don't think there's any getting around the fact that this just isn't going to look good on every single screen size, unless maybe I can find CSS background image always centered. Is there a way to do this elegantly? This person's using JavaScript, or that's jQuery, it looks like. I don't want to do that. Um, 50% and 0 for the background position. Okay. Okay, that does not work as promised. Well, it also requires some sort of JavaScript. Okay, so let's try this again. That does not work. Well, I mean, you know what? I'm just going to choose a texture from Pexels. I know this stream is crazy. This is why I usually don't do streams where I'm doing CSS, because I'm not very good at it. These colors match. Whoops. There we go. Let's try this one. I think since it's more of a texture and it's kind of more random in a sense, it would look better. I think it's just going to look better at different screen sizes. So that's I want to go back to where I had it originally with my styles, because this is zooming it in way too much. So source index.css. Let's say right there. Or was it? Let's do center, center. That does not work. That's... There we go. Okay. Sure. And then I need to add some sort of background. Let's do in the app styles. I want to say here we can add a padding of 25 pixels, but if we're adding a padding of 25 pixels, I should probably bring that up. Yeah, wait. Hold on, folks. There we go. And this is where I'm going to add a background color. Of RGBA 255, 255, 255, 0.25, maybe? Let's go with 0.5. And then let's do border radius of 10 pixels. Box shadow again. And Let's finish it up with centering it. We want to center it. So there we go. Oh, that didn't quite center it. The reason why it didn't center it is because we need to do height 100 view height. Yes. As it turns out, I don't know if I like it centered. Yeah. It definitely needs to be away from the top, but we could just set a margin top. Yeah, I didn't like it vertically centered as it turned out. We're going to go a little bit more on the background. And I'm actually going to bring it up even more. That looks okay. Is there a margin top on this H1? There it is. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Let's see. Sally. Okay. Quick thing. The error text should be red. Or whatever the color, whatever that orange color is. So grab that orange color. Boom. Go over to the modal. Actually, we have an input component. That's where that is. And then we're going to do .error color. And let's bold it. So text font weight. I think it's called font weight. Bold. Let's do bolder. And then in here, let's also make the font size small, by the way. Font size 12 pixels. That might be too small. Let's do 12. Let's just see what that looks like. Got to make sure that I actually have that class name on the error messages. I do. So let's see what that looks like. Phone is improperly formatted. So I think the padding on the input is pushing the error message down, which I don't like. So instead of putting it there, instead of putting the margin or the padding, or I think it was the margin, right? Margin? Is that? Yeah, there's a margin. So let's go back to the contact modal, and we're targeting the inputs here and adding a margin somewhere. Right here. We're adding a margin bottom of 10 pixels. Instead of adding that margin there, we are going to go into the input component and add that margin here. There we go. That looks better. And then I'm going to make that font size even smaller for the input, for the error message. Yeah. Okay. That looks good. And I think the very final thing to do here is if I click delete, we want to see a pop-up that says, are you sure you want to delete this contact? Because right now you could just click it and it just deletes it. And by the way, edit. Okay, I just wanted to make sure edit looked good. Yeah, so let's do that. So we're getting pretty close to the end of the stream. If anybody has any questions related to programming at all, go ahead and drop them in the chat right now. I'll answer them as soon as we're done. So we're going to be answering all the questions that are in the chat right now. We have like one or two. So now's your chance to go ahead and get those in, and I'll answer those in just a few minutes. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at PortExe. And if you're watching this on YouTube, follow me on Twitch. If you're watching this on Twitch, follow me on YouTube. Normally, the streams are a little bit more smooth than this, but this is kind of like an area where I'm a little bit weak. So I'm kind of just experimenting and just trying to solidify my own skills. I know a lot of CSS, but where I really got hung up was trying to do CSS grid in the beginning. I've only done grid a few times, and I got hung up on the live stream and had to switch over to Flexbox. But anyway, with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and implement this last feature, make sure the tests pass, and then answer everyone's questions. Okay. So where are we? We're going to go into the contact list, and I think there's two places where we can put this, right? So we are passing in an onDeleteClick handler to the contact list. So the contact list itself could handle the window.confirm, or we could handle that within the app component, which is defining the function delete contact here. So we could either put the pop-up here, or we could put the pop-up in here. Now, I want to think about which one would be better. I think I want to put it inside of the app component because I don't really want the contact list to have any sort of logic, really. In fact, this component doesn't really do anything with state or anything at all with JavaScript, really. So I could totally get rid of this block and this return statement and just have it return this JSX like this. So I'm going to keep this as like a component that has no state or any sort of logic. And I'm going to go over here, and within my delete contact function, I'm going to write an if check. And I'm going to say window.confirm. Are you sure? Okay. So if I do this, now when I click on delete, I get a pop-up that says, are you sure? So I'm preventing myself from accidentally deleting a contact. But here's the question. Is this going to cause my tests to fail? Because in my tests for several of the components here, I am, or at least one, I'm testing the ability to delete contacts, but I don't have any knowledge of a pop-up window that asks me, am I sure? So the question is React Testing Library going to take this into account, or am I going to have to mock the window.confirm function to return true always within the test? The answer is, I have no idea. Let's find out. npm test, see what happens. I'm expecting it to fail, to be honest. Correct, it failed. So it failed exactly where I thought it would. Properly manages the deletion of contacts. So I'm going to have to probably mock that function to always return true. So let's do it. In the app test, deletion, let's find that. Here it is. We're going to have to mock that function. So here I'm already mocking something called local storage. I'm mocking the Windows storage. I'm mocking window.localStorage here. I want to mock window.confirm. So let's mock it here. So confirm, and the value should be a jest function. I don't know how this works exactly. That should return true. Let's see if that works. Hey, it worked. Okay, cool. So all I did was I just made sure that this window.confirm function would always just return true. I don't need that C anymore. So now all the tests pass. npm test. Just make sure one more time, a clean run through. One clean run through. Very good. And let's look at it one more time to make sure we're not forgetting anything with the styles. It's not really the best looking app, but it works, right? There are some edge cases where this isn't going to work. For example, if the name is really long, it's going to break out of the container. Same with the email. Also, we're not handling anything with the overflow of, like, let's say we have 100 contacts. We have to scroll down. We would want to paginate that. So there's still a lot to be done here. But really, the main point of this stream was the TDD, right? The test-driven development. Writing all the tests for the stuff. But since I promised I would style it, I kept my promise. All right, so that is that. I'm going to go ahead and push this to GitHub. Might as well do that here. So let's go new repository, TDD. TDD live stream. Let's call it that. Let's make it public. Create repo. Let's copy this URL and see if there's anything in here we want to ignore. I think that we want to ignore the VS Code stuff. So let's add a git ignore. Oh, we already have a git ignore, but we didn't add .vs code to it. Did that actually work? I think so. I don't see it anymore. So I think that's everything. Let's change this README. Whoa. Where is it? Where is it? For the live stream. Yeah. And then, of course, license. We're going to do MIT. Let's do this one. Probably the exact same thing, but I just like to do this. Or boom. Put my full name there. Feel free to use this any way you want. Okay, license is added. Stage all the changes. Git commit. Initial. Git push. Wait, git remote add origin. Whoa, that's not what I forgot that I had that on my, that was the MIT license. Probably want this. Git remote add origin. Origin. Boom. Git push origin master. Refresh. All right, it's there. So you can find this on my GitHub. I'll also put the link in the description of the YouTube video. And now I'm going to answer the like 1 or 2 questions that I had throughout this stream. So the first one is from Hardik. Said, can you please share the VS Code settings? So if by VS Code settings you mean my theme, the theme is LaserWave. As for the settings, I use the Prettier extension. You can see that my Prettier file is right here in the code. So if you visit my GitHub, go to this repository, go to the Prettier RC, you can see that there. Also, I have a JS config file, which you may find interesting. But as for the actual settings, if we look in here, I'm just setting my my prettier stuff. So format on save is true, and then the default formatter is Prettier, and the config path is set to my Prettier config. So that is really it. What was the other question? There was like one more question. The question was, how does padding work inside a grid, or it doesn't? So you can set padding inside of grid elements for sure. So it works just like normal padding, I'm pretty sure. But here's the deal. I wanted to use grid, and I tried to use it at the beginning of the stream. It didn't go too well. So I'm going to have to... I've used CSS Grid a few times, but for some reason I couldn't get it to work at the beginning, and I wasn't going to sit there for 10 minutes trying to debug that during a live stream, so oh well. Thank you, Blessed. You blessed me with knowledge, and it worked really well. So Gap, turns out you can use Gap with Flexbox. Very nice. So it was a nice stream, learned a lot. That's good to hear. Glad you did. And then still need to watch the other parts of TDD. So you definitely, I would say not many people would probably get much from this stream. I just wanted to do the styling, and I figured I'd finish it on the live stream just like I promised. But the last 3 streams for the TDD stuff, I highly recommend you go watch those, because those were... You probably, if you're not familiar with test-driven development, you probably learn quite a bit. So go check those out. I think that's going to be it for this stream. I'm thinking the next stream that I'm going to do is going to be on my own website. So if we go to portexe.com, I built this website using Next.js, and it's really a pretty simple website, but there's some things about it that are interesting. I see a little visible styling bug over here that I need to fix, but what I'm planning to do is I'm going to add like a new link to the top here, and I'm just going to talk about how my website is built. And it's not going to be a full tutorial, but I just want to show you guys how this is built so you can build your own blog / website / whatever the same way that I did it, because there really are some serious benefits to doing it the way that I built it. So stick around for that stream.